The co-owner just passed away. Current owner isn't sure that he wants to sell. His asking price is 3.5. If you pull it up, I have some notes in there for market averages.
Doing it right now. Yep.
Yeah, more specifically neighborhood averages.
Mm-hmm.
So really what I already filled in all the data. Really what I'm curious about is what price you think the property could transact at and what your starter offer price would be.
Well. All right. So, all right, I'm just reading some details here. This guy wants $3.5 million.
Yeah.
Let me just be clear. All right. What do you think I'm going to say? He wants to come off mute and just like look at. By the way, I just want to say, Trenton, you've done all the right things in plugging in some details. I love that you just sent me the spreadsheet that you plugged in. So thank you for that. I appreciate that a lot. This is the best way to do it. You get the practice. What do you think are some things that are going through my mind right away just by looking at the main summary page?
Purchase price is way too high. The
Ignoring purchase price.
LTP is unrealistic.
Yeah, loan to purchase is absolutely insanity.
Yeah, I just adjusted that to get the DSCR to a reasonable level.
Makes
I know the
sense. No,
price point needs
I
to go
get
down.
why you did it. I mean, also
Yeah.
6.5 is not even going to be. I mean, it's going to be close. It might even be it might be seven. This is wild. Also, your closing costs are probably going to be closer to 100, right? Your due diligence and civil might be closer to 25 grand. Yeah, I mean, loan to purchase is just this is mind-boggling. Putting down 65% on a deal is just kind of hilarious to talk about. It's a 3.5 cap. Okay, my cash on cash year one is 1.5% at 65% down. Holding it for 20 quarters, my value is 3.7 at a 5.25, which is just wild. So
So my original underwriting, I had it down to 2 million
you are
as
it's
a strike
annoying.
price.
All right, let's adjust. All right. 6, 2, 7. Boom. I am a big fan of your 2 million. We can even probably get this down to 50. I'm somewhere in this ballpark. This might be 75. I don't know. Again, I'm a ballparker. Your average cap in this market is 3.6.
Yeah, over the last 10 years, that's the average for multifamily.
All right, I would say I don't care about the last 10 years. I care about literally the last 12 months. What are people paying today in this market right now?
Sub three was the last transaction. There's only been one transaction in the last 12 months, and it was like 2.8%.
Jesus, that's insanity. Okay, I would call that buyer up, and I'd love to have him as a client.
So when I do my comp research, I don't really dive into the renovated or I mean, I look at the class, the building class,
Mhm.
but I don't really look at the renovated versus non-renovated for my initial pass, and that does make a big difference
Of course
for
it does.
cap rates.
Of
So
course.
I'm not sure the details on that transaction to know.
Yeah,
I
I
just
mean,
looking at that transaction and then looking at the history of the neighborhood,
yeah, I mean, look.
it makes
First
sense
off,
that it would.
I'm obviously I'm on board. Offer $2 million all day long. Like that's a great deal. The intention in this market would definitely to be try to pick up stuff as close to a six cap as possible, or a six or north of a six, and like 200 a door. I mean, if you're in that ballpark, you're going to make money every time. It seems like. Obviously, you end up paying a little bit north of whatever. It's here or there, depending on the type of buyer you have. But anytime you see stuff like that trading, like you see a deal that just traded for a sub three cap, you need to have that buyer in your back pocket, period. Like I will do whatever it takes to try to find people who will pay three caps. You know what I mean? I want to find those buyers, especially if it's like average product. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like that'll help your career immensely. If you have 10 guys who will all pay sub four caps, what else do you need, buddy? You just need more leads.
Okay, so
I,
then
I get
this.
excited, by the way, I get excited in my market, okay, when I hear somebody's willing to pay a 6.5 cap.
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of these markets, like I have another opportunity that's a coastal property, and I mean properties in that neighborhood, they'll transact, sub two.
It's amazing.
So it really depends on the neighborhood. It doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily, to me, say that the buyer is special.
No, no, for sure. I understand that. I mean, but also like, the fact that they were willing to transact means that like they will do it again. That's why. Okay, this all looks pretty kosher to me. I like it. One bed, three bed, six, one, twos. Just be careful when you're doing this kind of underwriting. Be very careful. I think we've talked about this in the past, but
Yeah, so I actually looked it up. It's this property is not in a rent controlled area beyond the 5% plus CPI yearly increase.
you can go more than that, is what you're saying.
No, it's either 10% or 5% plus CPI, whichever is less.
Okay, so what you just answered is that there is rent control.
There's rent control in California. Yes.
I am aware. Yeah, no, I know that, right? So I'm just saying, like, so this is impossible. You can't just go from $1,500 a unit to 2,000 a unit in the next 12 months. You have six apartments here, and they're all rented.
Okay, yeah, I was reading the quarter to market wrong. So it would probably be 8 to 12.
Well, I mean, you're probably looking at, you could just change this number, right, and say that this is 5%, or what was the CPI? What did you say? It was five.
5% plus CPI. I think the CPI is 3%.
Okay, great. So let's just say let's do, yeah, 8%. Okay, you can do
And
8%.
there's a caveat there with AB 1480 or 1482, 1492, where if there's extensive renovations and you can bring the rents up to market. And I'm not sure how extensive the renovations would need to be for this
Sure. But
property.
so let's just be conservative. Okay, let's say 8%, which is not exactly nothing, but on 15 on this is like $120. So I'm just saying they're not getting to 2,000 in a year, let alone 3 years. You see what I'm saying?
Unless there's extensive renovations, yes.
Yeah, but even if you're going to do that, then you're going to go back to over, to your summary page. You're going to have a
A
raised
raised fee.
fee, of X. It's got to be somewhere, right? So all I'm trying to say is that like having it here as 2,000 is probably less likely. What you could do is say, in 12, let us say 8%. I mean, it's going to do 8% a year. I mean, you could just get rid of this, right? I mean, this is going to give you a way more accurate number. Right. I mean, look, your implied value is almost identical to what it was before, but it's not both. So
That
just
makes sense.
just like listen, Jersey has rent control too, right? Like it's a pain in the freaking ass. Anytime you're in states with rent control, California, New Jersey, New York, whatever, you just got to be very careful that when you're looking at performas, you look silly to investors when you say, "Oh yeah, you can bring it up to 3 grand in a year." It's not true. So just be careful when you do that. I want you to look, I want you to look, I want you to look smart when you're like talking to these investors, and you're like, yeah, like even just in the fact that you have only 8% a year and it increases that you can do legally, right? You can still pull off an X% cap rate, internal rate of return, or whatever.
Okay. Yep, I'll do that.